One of the things we really long for in a relationship is safety. I mean, that's after all one of the things that moves us towards building bonds and relationships with other human beings, right? And we're kind of born with this longing and need for our tribe, for our family, for a place where we can feel safe. And that's a very important human need. And it's one of the things that really leads us into intimate relationships as well. And especially something that we really want safety for in our intimate relationships is for our heart, for all the vulnerability that our heart carries from this life. Inside our hearts, we find all of the grief that we've ever known, the losses, the longings, the loneliness, the heartbreaks. There's so much that our hearts have felt the burden of and carried in this life, and it's part of life, of course. But that creates a longing in our heart to just find a place where we can rest and be held, where we can be vulnerable and we can be seen. So this longing is one of the deepest parts of us that calls us into relationship. And so for that reason, that's why couples, when they come together, they tend to find a way to try and make themselves feel safe. Now, what we do is we feel all the ways we've been hurt in the past, and we try to prevent that happening again in the future. That's the kind of natural path of evolution, right? So if someone lied to you or betrayed you in the past, you do everything you can to try and stop the next person lying and betraying because it hurts so much, right? The trouble is, it's so easy to go from that need into controlling. And when we try to control another person and limit their behavior and restrict them being who they are, then they start to feel trapped in that relationship. So usually at the beginning we say, oh yes, okay, I'll do this and I'll do that because we really also want that love. But over time, if we're controlling each other and restricting each other, we start to feel like we can't be fully who we are and we've lost our freedom in that relationship. So this is perhaps the biggest relationship conflict there is, the inner conflict between the need for safety and the need for freedom. Now, sometimes it polarizes in the relationship and one of you seems to be saying, oh, please, please come close. I want that safety. And the other one goes, no, 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 I want my freedom. But actually, all of us as humans have both needs. It just plays out in different ways at different times in relationships. But we all have both needs. And the thing is, it feels a bit like a conflict because in our mind, we can't understand how we can have both. And that's how couples can get into arguments. You know, I want just you and I don't want you ever to look at another man or another woman. But I want my freedom and I want to do whatever I want and you're holding me back. So we play out this conflict again and again in different ways. And the thing is, I think it's helpful for us to move beyond seeing it even as a conflict. When we drop deeper into the heart and when we connect to the quantum field or to the spaciousness of higher consciousness, then we have space for a bit of paradox. We can make space for these contrasts to exist in our life, the yin and the yang of being human. And when we can do that, we can step away from being so controlling and also from polarizing. So remember, to polarize is when we embody one archetype and our partner embodies the other, and we get really convinced that we're in a fight. But remember, within you, the opposite also exists somewhere. Maybe in this moment, you identify with wanting freedom, or in this moment, you identify with wanting safety, but you have it all within you. In fact, an interesting phenomenon is if your partner switches polarity, then you probably will too. So if you have a partner longing for freedom, you tend to cling more to your need for safety. But if they suddenly get really clingy and want lots of safety, then you suddenly, whoa, I need my freedom. So this is worth understanding and not getting too identified with, but acknowledging that we have the need for both. Then you can start asking more interesting questions together, which is how can we as a couple balance these two needs that we both have, the need for safety and the need for expansion, growth, and freedom. How do we as a unique couple come together and find the arrangement that creates both of those? Too much safety and we're going to stagnate and get stuck. Too much freedom and there's not enough relationship left. So we're just two sovereign beings doing our own thing and not even caring about the impact on the other, right? That's not a relationship anymore. So somewhere is a happy medium. And there's different ways for couples to work that out. It might be time. For example, you might be a couple that say, hey, for like this time together, we're going to be together and create a lot of safety. And then we're going to have a month where I'm doing my thing, you're doing your month, and you're doing your thing, you're hanging out with your friends, I'm doing my thing, and then we'll meet again in a month and we'll do our thing. So you can do it with time. You can do it with location. So it can be, this is your room, this is my room, I have my life and do my things, you do yours. And this is a room in which we meet, or a house or a space in which we meet and do together stuff. So you can create it like this. You can also just work out your time. It can be weekends, for example. We'll do one weekend together as a couple, and then we'll do one weekend apart as two individuals. The next weekend as a couple, the next weekend as two individuals. If you can build in these kind of flexible ways of fulfilling both needs before they're really urgent, then you need never get into that place where either of you are like, this relationship is doing whatever it's doing to me, right? Because those needs are there. We can acknowledge them from the beginning. We can bring them in a really healthy way and just have it as a practice. As a practice, I'm going out with my girlfriends this weekend because that's what this weekend is. Remember, really important needs are the need to be together as a couple, the need to have your own life going on, your own family, your own friends, and a very important need, the need to be alone. This is important to build in as well. So it can be really nice to have camping weekends where you go camping in completely different places, but you're alone, both of you alone. You're in your tent on your own with nature, and you both go on your vision quest weekends and meet back on Sunday night. And wow, how was your journey? So when we start to create relationships that fulfill all of these needs, then we don't run into these problems where we suddenly feel stuck in one extreme or the other. And this creates a beautiful dynamic relationship that will not get stuck in one form or the other. Remember, we are the ones creating our relationship. You do not have to live your relationship the way your parents did, or the way your culture told you to, or the way Hollywood showed you it was done on TV. You can create your relationship, and you can create an epic relationship that's going to serve you just absolutely amazingly. And that's what I'm all about. You can check out thetantriccouple.com, where myself and my partner share information for couples. We've also got plenty of videos and online courses on livetantra.com, and a big community there to join. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, then please come join us, find out more, join in the conversation. Let's do this together. Let's create a new generation of amazing conscious tantric relationships. Thank you for joining me.